People who have reached a 9 or 10 on the pain scale, what happened? Had a CAT scan at 36. They gave me 4 contrast fluid. Told me I might feel like I had to pee, no big deal, make sure to hold still. Put me in the machine. Within a minute I started feeling warm. As they started the scan I started breathing heavily. Then I started screaming. It felt like my entire body was on fire, every nerve. They were confused and freaked out. Got me out and sitting up, but it wasn't until a nurse gave me a shot of Benadryl that I started feeling better. Turns out I had a full-body internal allergic reaction to the contrast media, which contained iodine. Never happened before. Worst feeling of my life. Ruptured large intestine. Morphine helped a lot. Ovarian cyst burst. Bacterial meningitis. My brain felt like a contained explosion that was trapped reverberating in my skull, but it wanted out and constantly let me know about it. Trigeminal neuralgia. It feels like every bone and tooth in my face has been crushed and shattered. I've got a high pain tolerance from a lifetime of nerve damage from scoliosis, but TN pain had me truly wishing for the relief of death. Absolutely nothing gave me any relief whatsoever, and I was begging to just be sedated. Tried to give birth vaginally, and after hours of labor, and hours of pushing, something felt horribly wrong. Then it felt like the worst pain imaginable. Ended up having an emergency C-section, but something went wrong with the drugs and I could feel the incision. My uterus had literally burst. After closing, the doctor was checking to make sure my uterus was solid, and it had multiple other tears. I almost bled out. The doctor cried, telling my boyfriend what had happened. Had tubes in my ears as a kid. When I was 6, our new family doctor told me that the tubes had fallen out and that I could shower/bathe etc. without my earplugs from then on. Link to explanation of ear tubes here. https://my.clevelandclinic.org/health/treatments/15609-ear-tubes-tympanostomy. Mom was skeptical, so she just washed my hair in the sink that night, just to make sure everything was okay. Everything was not okay. I woke up in the middle of the night screaming bloody murder because it felt like someone had stabbed me in the head with 1,000 knives, then set them on fire. Mom rushed me to the hospital, where I had to have emergency surgery to remove the tubes that were very much still in my ears. Thanks to Dr. Dipshit, I had gotten water behind my eardrums, which had rapidly become severely infected. Thank God my mom has always been one to err on the side of caution and didn't let me have a full shower or a bath that night, or it could have potentially killed me. Severe infections near the brain aren't ideal. I'm 34 now and I still remember that pain vividly. I have thankfully been exceedingly lucky in not gravely injuring myself. However, the most egregious amount of pain I've ever been in was getting stung by a stingray. Wasn't paying attention and moving quickly through shallow ocean and felt a slice. I thought I'd stepped on glass, but by the time I got out of the water the pain was so intense I couldn't even think. Felt like someone put my foot in a blender. I got treated quickly and thankfully did not go through the peak of it. For future reference, submerge affected area in the hottest water you can stand without burning yourself. Perforated colon with sepsis. Worst pain I ever felt. Molar infection. The pain was so intense I had to control myself to just not curl in a ball and cry. I had to take antibiotics for a week and then extract the tooth. It's like the most intense nerve pain ever, but it doesn't stop. No thinking, no sleeping, only the pain. Now I say I no longer am afraid of death, since death can be a release from pain. LOL. Pancreatitis. Fractured my hip and had to keep rucking 12 miles with 65 pounds on my back. I bawled my eyes out the whole time and another person was lifting the back of my ruck up to help take the weight off, but it is still the most painful thing I've ever experienced. I have a brain disease, so I've been a 9 or 10 a few times in my life. It's the worst pain ever, but it went away after a bit because I went essentially comatose every time after a little bit. Ovarian torsion that lasted 3 days. Also, CSF leak after a spinal tap. Rheumatoid arthritis. My knees had been so inflamed that I wasn't able to bend them for about a year. Had to learn to use the toilet standing up, even number 2. Anyway, one day I started to stumble, and I caught myself by automatically bending my knee to stabilize and not fall. It was like a gunshot. I passed out and woke up in a puddle of vomit. No idea how long I was out. Thankfully I was on carpet and didn't hit my head in the way down. I've had 2 children and I passed 3 large kidney stones. This pain was beyond all that. But it didn't linger. Worst I ever felt, by far, but only for seconds. Kidney stones. Toothache closely followed by kidney stones. Hit by a car, leg got pinned in front of the wheel and it basically ate away my ankle. First sobering moment in my life when I picked up my leg and my ankle went at a 90-degree angle. I was 9 at the time and knew I had fucked up big time. 11 surgeries, 2 months in the hospital, 8 months bed rest later I can say I still have my leg, most of it. Gallbladder attack. Sitting still, pain. Moving, pain. Breathing, still pain. Not breathing, surprisingly, pain. Worst pain I have ever had. Was sent home from the hospital initially after being given some heartburn medication. Pain returned soon after. Went back and the bastards put me in a back room on my own for hours, this was around midnight, and left me there. Took a couple of hours before they gave me some morphine. Small country town hospital. I think they must have thought I was drug seeking. The ultrasound I had a couple of weeks later showed they were very wrong. ETA, formatting. Filling fell off my tooth and the live nerve was exposed. I couldn't even drink water. Worst pain I've ever experienced, worse than appendix bursting, chipped bones, torn ligaments, sprains, the whole thing LOL. Having my nipple sliced into with a scalpel with no anesthetic and having the doc manually drain a 7 cm abscess under it. It had been left too long to drain with the needle method as the gunk was too viscous and I had already been on the strongest tablet antibiotic for 2 months which hadn't done a thing. This was the last step before surgery as it was so close to rupturing on its own and I was in so much pain while dealing with all the normal infection signs like a fever, shivers, nausea, shakes, dizziness etc. They tried to use a local anesthetic jag directly at the abscess but it just caused me so much pain, before the actual painful part had even started. It never took as my skin was too inflamed. The abscess had forced all the nerves to the surface of my breast/nipple skin, the pain was truly another level of intense. An intense spiky burning like no heat you've ever felt. The doc had to press down her entire body weight onto my breast/nipple while squeezing each side like a spot, for almost 10 minutes, which might not sound long but it was an eternity. I had to be held down by 3 nurses as my body was just reacting to the pain by trying to move to relieve it somehow. Sweating, hyperventilating, vibrating, not even shaking, they eventually had to pause for a bit as my heart rate was so high. I found out when I had came out of the pain haze that most people pass out and because I didn't they were super worried I would go into actual medical shock but thankfully I was okay after about 20 minutes of lying down with a fan and water. I've had a first trimester missed miscarriage without any pain relief and I would personally rather go through that than have an abscess under my nipple manually drained again. Also fun fact, breast abscess can pop up at any time when you are super stressed so have fun with that, as it's what happened to me. No advice on how to protect myself from them in future except keep your stress low and managed and that's an achievable thing in your late 20s in 2024 LMFAO. Gout attack. I am in my 20s and female, by all accounts it's not supposed to happen in my demographic, but my dad has it and apparently genes outweigh all that. I kid you not, I woke up one morning and would have sworn to you I had broken my foot. It hurt so bad, and if I tried to stand, it felt like it would just break. Worse, over the next few hours it got to the point I couldn't stand or put any sort of pressure on it at all. Shoes wouldn't fit. Couldn't even stand trying to put them on that foot. Anything so much as a sheet brushing on my skin was pure agony. The best part was my mom telling me not to be dramatic and cry when I went to walk and nearly fell. Migraines are close behind because it always gets too bad I puke. Chronic migraines and a bursted ovarian cyst. Meningitis. I just passed out. Miscarried, blood clot blocked my cervix, I was in agony. They gave me 10 milligrams of morphine until the pain subsided enough for me to go home.